light, should be okay. If it's not, you can always let me know. I came home later than yesterday and day before, so I might have to cut this a bit shorter than this live a bit shorter than it usually is. Uh, but it's still good that I can do it because if had I finished work a bit later or had a bit more traffic, then I wouldn't have time for this. So yeah, I thought might as well use the time. So um, yesterday we talked a bit about like exercise and fitness, and today I thought we could talk about food, as that is an important aspect of like a healthy lifestyle. It's important for fitness as well, and for overall like longevity and all that healthy stuff. But as per usual, if you folks in the chat have any particular questions or topics that you would like us to discuss here that have nothing to do with food, or even that they do, of course, we can talk about anything at all. So anything goes in the chat as long as we keep it civil. Having said all that, I might as well start. And usually it gets around like 2 minutes or so until people start coming in. So we'll see how that goes today. But just wanted to say, hope you have a great day or evening, and yeah, then we can start. I know it's a working day, so depends on what time it is for you folks, but yeah, you might not have the time to be here for the full time, and that's of course all okay and good, but thank you for being here. So yeah, I thought we would talk about food unless anybody has some other subject to discuss. So food. We all eat all kinds of different stuff, but for healthy food or for fitness or health purposes, usually people would think the food is kind of boring, or they almost think always of like chicken meat or chicken breast and rice, and that's basically what people eat when they go to the gym. And sure, that is something that people do eat, but there's all kinds of other food that we can and should eat for a balanced diet. And of course, people have different taste in food, they like different stuff, so we should have that in mind when we're creating a diet plan for ourselves. Of course, that goes without saying almost. But yeah, while chicken is great because it has a lot of protein and it has some B3, if I'm not mistaken, has some B vitamins in any case, and it's pretty lean. It doesn't have a lot of fat, which is all good in general. However, fat is good to consume a little bit on daily basis because it's important. It has a lot of minerals in it, and it also helps with hormone regulation, and that's important for everybody. But it's not just chicken meat that we should consume, because other types of meat, there's fish with omega-3s. There's also meat such as some organs like liver, which is great. And yeah, there's like Liver King, right? So that usually comes to mind when talking about liver. But yeah, liver is a good meat to consume, not all the time, not just solely liver, but it is a good source of a lot of vitamins. It's packed with like vitamin B12, iron, there's a lot of vitamin A in it, there's zinc, and all kinds of other minerals there too. So that's why it's quite important to add it to your diet, to have a balanced diet, and to not have deficiencies. Because people who would eat only, let's say, chicken, would have a lot of, or could have a lot of deficiencies later, depending on how long they eat it for. Sorry about the noisy background. can't do anything about the dogs there, but hopefully they calm down. Thank you once again for joining. And yeah, we were, or I was talking about food, and will continue to do so unless someone has any other questions or topics they would like to discuss. So yeah, we had chicken and liver, which is great. Fish sometimes as well. Again, there should be a balance. We shouldn't eat too much of anything or consume. So we covered that a little bit. There's also a lot of vegetables that we should consume, and fruit, obviously. But yeah, vegetables more because they don't have so much sugar. They have some, they have a lot of, they could have fiber. They don't have a lot of calories. They have a lot of minerals in them. And so that's why we need to consume vegetables. But then again, we should watch out for other stuff like pesticides and all that. So make sure you wash your vegetables properly and prepare them. Then yeah, consume them. And they are nice because you can obviously mix them and then have otherwise what would have been a boring diet, those vegetables could make it a more interesting and more tasty. Add to that a bit of some spices, a bit of pepper or whatever else, cumin, for example, or other spices that you like, and you can enjoy the food even more. So there's that side of eating healthy food. Then obviously we all like food that is not that healthy, and it's fine to eat it sometimes. Not all the time, but you know, maybe once a week or once every 5 days or so. That's fine. When we're talking about just longevity and is this pre-recorded, asks what a world. No, it is not, and I guess this proved it. But thank you for asking, and thank you for leaving this comment. As I mentioned, I'm just talking about food at the moment, and because we in the last video we talked about fitness and exercise, so naturally a good diet comes or goes well with fitness. But we can talk about anything else, so yeah, feel free to leave any kinds of comments or ideas of what we could talk about next. Thanks for the answer. Yeah, you're most welcome, of course, and thank you for being here. So yeah, eating some kind of junk is junk. I mean, fast food or anything that you like that is not that healthy is fine, as long as we balance it out. I'm getting ready to make Brussels sprouts and roasted carrots. Awesome. There we go. That's a very, for me at least, I like that combination. And that's very healthy. Like Brussels sprouts and carrots are quite healthy. And when they're roasted, carrots especially, yeah, they get more sweet. So maybe then you don't need sweets afterwards, or you don't have that craving for them that much, which is great. There's also, when I'm talking about roasted carrots, I also think of either roasted or maybe even boiled sweet potato, which is quite nice as well, and healthy and lots of fiber. Again, you get a lot of water in it if you boil it as well, so there's the liquid, and yeah, all good. Do you care to share with us what you are planning to combine the Brussels sprouts and roasted carrots with? Or if anything, like, do you put any meat on the side? Very good with thyme and garlic powder. Excellent point. Yep. And I found it, at least with garlic powder, that it's more, it's easier on the gut than, for example, raw garlic. So yeah, for those of you that maybe have problems with just eating raw garlic, you could supplement it with the powder, or when you have raw garlic, you know, could crush it, and then it loses some of its strong, potent taste. Baka says Belgrade, Serbia, like from Grandma Duda's kitchen. Good luck. Thank you for leaving your comment. And yeah, we're talking about food, and um, Baka's kitchen or Grandma's kitchen is here with us as well. And yeah, that's good timing. So thank you for that. What was I going to say? Right. So with food, timing is important. Happy birthday from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. It was actually my birthday yesterday. Yeah, but that's great timing. Not sure if YouTube shows that for that, but yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That's good timing. I usually add to chicken with herbs. I try to avoid salt as seasoning. Yeah, awesome. I was mentioning that yesterday, I think. Salt is usually in a lot of food, and usually we get enough salt from our food even without doing like extra sprinkles, extra seasoning of salt. So it's good to avoid it like that. Some people need more salt, so they can um, add it. Or oh, happy belated birthday! Thank you very much. I didn't plan on mentioning anything, but yeah, it came up here, and uh, I don't know if it showed or anything, but yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, salt. I was saying the other day, it's good to consume a bit of extra salt, not too much, but a little bit more, if you're having a lot of like, if you're working out a lot, if you're sweating a lot, if it's like very hot and all that. So if you're losing water through sweat, you're gonna lose some of those electrolytes, and a little bit of extra salt can help to replenish that. Like, for example, sometimes people could get a headache when they are running, and if it's hot and they don't um, consume a lot of electrolytes right after their run, they could have a headache, and then having a little bit of salt in their water can help. But obviously, too much salt is bad for blood pressure, and salt obviously takes a lot of water from us, and so we can get dehydrated and all that. So, good to avoid it usually. And yeah, other types of seasoning are great. There's marsala, which is very nice and spicy. There's turmeric, goes well with black pepper, quite healthy and so on. So yeah, seasoning is great, not only because it gives you a different flavor for the food, but it also is healthy for us. So yeah, that's always nice. And for yeah, for days that you're more active, you will need more protein, obviously. So having more meat in your diet is good. Red meat is fine in moderation, and chicken meat and white meat is easier to digest and therefore can be eaten a bit more than, for example, red meat. But again, we should watch out where our food comes from and all that. You know, there's regulations. In some countries, regulations are not that good, and so some meat, for example, might come with some extra hormones and things like that. Vegetables might come with some extra pesticides. So, like being informed about what we consume is always a good thing. Washing, extra washing of the vegetables, yeah, helps with that as well. So, right, that's one thing that we covered. And yesterday, I also mentioned there's a lot of research that we could look up on the internet that shows that a lot of fiber, like fiber intake, is great for longevity, but it also helps prevent a lot of like diseases and helps fight a lot of diseases as well. So, trying to add a lot of, or a lot, trying to add more fiber to our diet is very beneficial, or should be of great benefit, especially, sorry about the dog, especially because there's a lot of people, especially in America and some other countries, that have deficiencies in fiber or eat much less fiber than is needed. So, yeah, something to think about. Sankey OK says Dave's the kind of guy that'll talk about nutrition on the first date. Love that comment. I don't know if I did. First date was a long time ago, man. Could be that I did, but now I like to talk about all kinds of different things. I just pick one kind of topic for the live and then go with it. And if we diverge from that, if anybody asks or has something else on their mind, we can go in that direction as well. But yeah, yesterday we talked about exercises and fitness. Today it's a bit about diet. Tomorrow, if I manage to have a live, it's going to be about something else. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, but good point. I yeah, obviously I like to talk about some stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. Nutrition is interesting to me, and it's obviously important as well for a lot of stuff. So yeah, yeah. But thank you for the comment. It's pretty accurate, probably. Yeah. Although yeah, I like talking about whatever movies, books, sports, you name it. Probably I'm interested. History. Yeah. So what was I saying? Right. Um, if and it's normal that we get tired of one type of diet. Maybe we eat almost the same thing on Monday, and then Tuesday we change it a little bit. Then Wednesday it's again the same, and it can get a bit boring. So we can spice things up with spices, sure, but we can also change the diet either for something healthier or something a bit less healthy, but still just so that we don't feel bored. And I think that would be good. Do you believe in varied diet or eating the same things over and over? Excellent. So yeah, I was just saying that. Supa Pep says hi. Hello back. Thank you for joining us. So I believe, or what I've heard from others and read and everything, the so many schools of thought on out there. Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. That is very true. So first, I would say the Mediterranean diet, in my opinion at least, would be one of the best diets out there, and it's quite like a Mediterranean diet includes eating more fiber in the morning and then eating food that is not ultra processed throughout the day, eating more protein with vegetables in the afternoon or for lunch, and then dinner uh, something a little lighter than lunch, and maybe having some snacks in between with all like fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and meat. So that's my take on it in general. But I also would say that eating one type of food over and over again is not good for our health overall, for nutrition purposes, but also mentally, like it just gets boring. So it's not good to, force yourself to eat something that you don't want to. And it's better, in my opinion, if we vary our diet, even if sometimes, and we shouldn't slip into that slippery slope, even sometimes if we eat something that is not so healthy, just to break that cycle a little bit, and it's fine. But yeah, counting the calories can be, for some people, can be overwhelming and too much, like stressful. So if it's not, it's fine, but I think we shouldn't obsess over the calories that much. Calories obviously are very important, whether we want to gain or lose weight, but in general, I think we shouldn't worry about them that much, that we should just, have a balanced diet that is quite different from, not maybe every day, but throughout the week it should differ, eating different meat, different vegetables, and all that. So yeah, that's that's my take on it at least. I know there's some people that only eat one like carnivore diet, so they eat just that. There's people that eat just rice and chicken, but that isn't that good. Do you consume a to milk supposed to be less inflammatory? Good question. So I yeah, I talked with a few friends, some relatives that are in that type of field. Some friends are nutritionists, but others are doctors. Some are from the a different science field, but they read on that stuff and so on. They what the majority of them told me at least was that eating or eating, consuming, drinking milk, uh, the usual milk with the usual amount of fat. So not like the low fat milk, but the usual amount would be maybe the best choice because the when they thin the milk out to give it less fat, they thought that it would that there's some chemical processes that are not so beneficial to us are done to the milk, and then they don't recommend it for those reasons. But in general, I think yeah, A2 can be good. I personally just honestly, I don't drink that much milk. I take other dairy products like yogurt and cheese, some cottage cheese, some other types of cheese. But for milk, I usually drink just a little bit and I change it up. So, yeah, sometimes I get one type of milk. I do minimal dairy, so I just use almond milk. Yeah, excellent. Especially for people that, have low lactose tolerance. People call it lactose intolerance, but we all have some degree of tolerance towards lactose. It's just that some people have a much higher ceiling and others have a much lower tolerance of it. So yeah, that's especially good for people that have a low lactose tolerance to consume almond milk, for example. And yeah, I personally I like almond milk. I know some people don't, but there's other types of milk to try out there, and why not? We can try those. I saw oat milk. I saw some rice milk. It's obviously people would say it's not milk. It's this and that. Yeah, but it can help if you like to drink, if you like that taste. Sure, why not? So yeah, yeah, I'd say that's fine. Sodas and juice and stuff like that has a lot of sugar, something to avoid if we can. Pasteurized milk is the real deal, says Farzanka. Yeah, definitely. I like pasteurized milk, although I haven't. Not sure when was the last time that I had it, but yeah, thank you for that mention. It is quite nice, and it doesn't have to be even cow milk. Some people drink different types of milk, although other types of milk can be more expensive. So that's that's one thing to consider. And also, yeah, when now that I mentioned expense, people think when they think of like eating healthy, they would say it is expensive. Well, it doesn't really have to be. Like, if you think of potatoes, tomatoes, apples, oranges, things like that, those things are not really expensive. It's just that, you need time to prepare and cook your meals, maybe. So that's another issue. But eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive. It can if you eat just salmon and, I don't know, beef and grass-fed beef steaks and stuff like that, sure, but there is a way to have like a healthy meal or healthy diet on a budget. It's it's totally doable. And yeah, that reminds me of another thing just to mention. I've seen or heard from a lot of people that they think going to a restaurant and ordering, I don't know, like something with rice and like chicken and rice, that it's quite healthy. Usually, in a lot of restaurants, you'll get a lot of other things added to it. So, a lot of salt, a lot of oil, this and that. And then you eat a lot more calories. Sorry about the doggies. So yeah, eating at restaurants, while it can be appetizing and quite delicious, it can of course be expensive as well. But it's not that healthy. I mean, it can be healthy depending on what you eat, but we shouldn't trick ourselves into thinking we didn't eat so many calories when in fact they added a bunch of stuff there. Although eating at a restaurant is a whole experience, like you go there with friends, you talk and all that, so it's got a very good aspect to it as well. In my opinion, the biggest expense with the healthy eating is the time drain from cooking. Yes, great point. What a world. It's definitely a major factor, depending on obviously what we're making, but it can take us from like 30 minutes to over 2 hours to make something. So that's a big issue there. For like preparing food in advance in large amounts can I mean large amounts. Like if you cook 14 eggs and then leave them and then, eat boiled eggs for breakfast, for example, go bring them to work, or making an oatmeal at home, a larger amount, and then taking it to work like that, it can help a little bit with saving time. But yeah, it's still, you'll still need to use quite a significant portion of your day to prepare a healthy meal. So yeah, especially like some slowly cooked meat with like if you're making a broth or some soup like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. It's not easy to get a healthy meal quickly. So yeah, there's some fast options, but we can't always eat those. So yeah, great point. And unfortunately, as I see, I'm running out of time here. I'll have to head out soon. But if anybody has any questions or anything that they would like to mention, please leave them in the comments. And I also have to thank you all for being here this long, for being active, for liking the video, and if you subscribe, that also helps the channel a lot. Fraser says meal planning is great, but then microwaving food isn't really a healthy choice apparently. Great. So yeah, some studies show one thing, others another. So in general, microwaving food can save a lot of time, obviously, and it can be okay. But I guess I personally I can't say it's good or bad. I really don't have that much information to say I believe this or that. But in my personal view, or what I do is I usually don't microwave unless I have to. So yeah, I mean, I know it can help a lot in terms of yes, saving time and making something, but that's a myth. Microwaving is a totally harmless and healthy, says Gus Rivers. So yeah, there you go. I know I've read a lot of studies before that showed microwaving had no bad impacts on anything, on food and all that, but I guess new research comes out all the time. So if something, if a research paper comes out that proves it wrong, then that will be in the news for sure, and we'll hear about it. But for now, and yeah, there's a lot of different types of research, like meta-analysis are one of the best things to look for. And also sometimes when you read the paper, they want to shock you and tell you, oh, this causes A or B, but in fact, maybe it really doesn't. So only once we, either if we can read the study and find out for ourselves, or if we have someone who we trust who is a professional in the field that can explain something to us, then that's the voice of reason to listen to. And obviously, or at least I think it's always good to have a few sources of information, and then you can try and decide for yourself. But yeah, I I would say microwaving in general would be a good thing. I just don't use them since I don't like it changes the way some of food or either tastes or the structure of it changes quite quickly afterwards. So yeah, that's just me. But in any event, thank you all for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you again soon, and thank you for your time once again. Take care.